As Jack said, every now and then there is something so unusual, so earth-shaking that it's difficult to grasp. And since this is the last week of the year 1995, I have such a device right here. This is a Motorola MicroTac 650E cellular telephone. Now I know what you're thinking. That can't be a cellular phone. It's much, much smaller than the typical cell phone. And it doesn't look anything like a great big telephone handset like all other cell phones up to this point have looked. And you're right about that. That's because the engineers, the geniuses at Motorola have made a breakthrough in microelectronics, and this is it. Now, there's nothing new about cellular telephones. The idea dates back to the late 1940s when an engineer at Bell Lab hit on the notion that the old radio telephone system, which featured a big radio antenna in the middle of a coverage area, should be replaced by smaller antennas and overlapping cells of service. And then the software allows the user to travel from cell to cell and have the new antennas pick him up. The problem, of course, has been, until now anyway, has been the phones themselves. They were big. As all of you know, everybody who has a cell phone either has it hardwired into a car so that it can be powered, or has to carry a bag with a large battery in it that weighs almost 2 pounds and has the phone wired to the battery. Neither of those is really practical for the average person, and the $1,000 cost of a typical cell phone is not practical for the average person too. But with this little beauty, Motorola has solved both of those problems. When this thing rings and you take a call, people are going to notice you. In a good way. This has several features that cellular phones heretofore have not had. It has a display on the front, and astonishingly, it can actually display all 10 digits of the number you are dialing, or the phone that's calling you. It also only weighs 7.9 ounces, which is less than half of the 1 pound handset that is typical of most cell phones. You'll notice it's only about 1.5 inches thick, as opposed to the 3 or 4 inches thick of most cell phones. But it doesn't stop there with the mere appearance of this device. The features are just stunning. The battery on this phone will actually power it for up to 2 hours of talk time. And it can the phone can stay on standby mode for up to 8 hours. A recharge only takes 6 hours, unlike the 24 hours typical of most cellular phones. In addition to that, it has a flip-type cover that hides the keyboard so that it's impossible to damage it the way it is on most cell phones. And it has an extendable and retractable antenna that can't get broken off because it's flexible, unlike most cell phones. Now, there are some objections to buying one of these. One of them, of course, is the cost. How much will this set you back? Now, according to Motorola, it actually costs $1,000 to manufacture one of these. But they've hit on an ingenious method of making it affordable to everybody. They're cooperating with American Telephone and Telegraph to offer yearly cell phone contracts. This is a new thing in the cell phone industry here at the end of 1995. Now, this phone, rather than the $1,000 true cost, will only set you back $250 if you buy it and obligate yourself to a minimum 3-year contract. The contract terms are generous too. You only have to pay $75 a month, and that allows you to buy up to 100 minutes of talk time. Those minutes are relatively cheap. They only cost you 75 cents each, unless you roam outside of your coverage area or go over your 100 minutes, and they become $1 each. Now that's amazingly cheap compared to what cell phones have been up to this point, and it makes it within the reach of the average person. But it does raise another question that lots of people have. Why would I want to carry around a telephone all of the time, even one as remarkably tiny as this, the first true shirt pocket telephone, depending on the size of your pocket? The reasons are probably evident if you give it a little bit of thought. Anybody who is in a commercial enterprise needs to stay in touch with his or her customers. It's very, very inconvenient to have to leave one's car to find a payphone somewhere in order to contact the home office or a customer or something. With one of these phones, you can do that on the fly. It's clearly much more efficient than it would be otherwise. They also have uses for safety and convenience. If one has car trouble, for example, you can call for help, call AAA or some other somebody to come and rescue you. If you're being attacked, you can throw the phone, I guess, or you can dial 911 and hope that somebody can find you, because the E911 system does not yet exist at the end of 1995, but there's always hope for the future. Now, another possible use of this is social contacts. Those are going to be highly limited, though, because, let's face it, not many people are ever going to be carrying around cell phones. There's no real need for them for most people. Finally, the last reason to buy one of these is prestige. There is no one, I can guarantee, no one in your circle of acquaintances who has a phone quite like this. Who knows what the future will bring, but today's miracle of microelectronics has brought us this Microtac 650E cellular telephone. Mr. Chairman.